And for those of you who are joining us, thank you for popping in to talk about how to recharge. If you're past participants of the Institute, or if you're just fans of LeaderShape and want to see more about what we're about, we know that we are at the tail end of a spring semester, and you might be needing ways to de-stress and recharge and find ways to get out of that stressful mode that comes with the end of all things. So thank you for joining us here. I appreciate your time. Yes, and Carolyn, thank you for that message. I haven't yet started sharing my screen. So thank you for that reminder. I just wanted to make sure that we could see each other's faces if people wanted to be on camera. But I always appreciate the reminder to do what needs to be done, as we were just talking about that. So, and Jamari, thank you for your comment too. I hope that this is a helpful time for you to be able to join us as well, and thinking about what it is like to recharge, what it is like to come back, and what it is like to manage what might be stressful during this time. So thank you for joining us. If you're new to LeaderShape, I thought I would offer just this, the mission and vision of LeaderShape and what our work is all about. So we're here to transform the world by increasing the number of people who lead with integrity and have a healthy disregard for the impossible, which is great, big, hard work. And maybe it's relevant to you and the vision that you might have started working on at the Institute if you were there. You know that that vision won't become reality in our lifetimes, but it is work that we will continue to do while we have time to do it. So here we are working towards creating a more just, caring, and thriving world where all lead with integrity and have a healthy disregard for the impossible. So let's talk about being resilient in stressful times. And as we do that, I just kind of want to hear who all is with us in the room. If you want to do some introductions just in the chat feature, or if you want to unmute yourself and come on camera, you're welcome to do that as well. Just to tell us who you are and where you're from. So once again, I'm Abby Prince Atwood. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the Director of Campus Growth at LeaderShape. And I'm joining you from Central Illinois today, where we're having right now surprisingly wonderful weather, but I hear storms are on the horizon. So let's see what happens. You just never know. Who else is joining us? Juan, my colleague, thanks for joining us there from Charlotte, North Carolina. Who else is with us today?
Are you going? Hello? Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Oh, hi, I'm Cam D. I'm joining from Texas Women's University here in Texas.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us from TWU. We love those folks.
I'm Jamari. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm calling in from University of Michigan.
Awesome. Thanks, friends. Another Midwesterner. Very good. And then Carolyn joining us from New Jersey, and then we've got Juan here as well. So thank you everyone for joining us. You're more than welcome to keep your cameras on if you'd like to. I know that it might also be lunchtime where you are, so if you're taking a snack and listening in, that's totally fine as well. But please feel free throughout our time together if you have questions, or if you want to offer some support or advice beyond what we're sharing here today, please feel that you can do that. I think with the number of people that we have, we've got the flexibility to be able to share our own thoughts and kind of pitch in those ways as well. Because as you know, at LeaderShape, we talk so much about how we're all teachers and learners, and that's a tenet that we truly believe. And so while I've prepared some slides and some thoughts for us to talk about today, I know that you all have these ways in which you're dealing with stress and finding effective ways to recharge and to refresh at this time too. So please share your thoughts with us as well as we go through. What I've put here together for us today is some thoughts around how we can de-stress and refresh and relax in this time. And I've done it in 3 major categories. And then in thinking about the time that you have available might differ from day to day, or from hour to hour, or from morning to afternoon, or depending on if it's the weekend or a weekday. And so I've put together some thoughts based on if you have 5 minutes, if you have 30 minutes, and if you have an hour. So hopefully that is a good time structure for you to think about, like, what do I have available in this time to step away from what I'm doing and kind of recharge my battery and kind of level out my stress a little bit. So hopefully there's some effective tools for us all here that we can practice. So I'll start off and just sharing some breath work. So my husband and I were just talking about this yesterday. He's out of town all this week doing some very stressful meetings that engineers have. That is the line of work that he's in. His work is always very stressful for him. And I was just saying to him, don't forget that you can take deep breaths in stressful times because you're breathing anyway. You're going to keep breathing throughout your day. You might as well find some ways to make that deep breath work for you. So we know that with breath work, it helps us to increase the feelings of comfort that we have in our spaces. It helps us to find ways to relax and to find something pleasant around us. And it decreases symptoms of anxiety and depression and anger and confusion. And this always makes me think of when I was a kid and I would be wildly upset about something, which I don't know, what were those things that upset us as 7-year-olds? Something that would upset me. And I would just be in a fit of tears and not able to get control of my thoughts. And my mom would hold the sides of my face and she would make me look her in the eye and she would say, take some deep breaths with me. And I was always like, ugh, this is so annoying that my mom wants me to do this breath work with her. Although I don't think we called it breath work in the early 80s, but that's what she was doing, was asking me to do some breath work with her. And I didn't know it until much later in my life that taking those deep breaths actually has all this scientific research around it, around how those deep breaths sends all this extra oxygen to our parasympathetic nerve system that then releases all the serotonin and other calming chemicals into our from our brains and throughout our bodies to help us calm down, to help us collect our thoughts, to help us identify what is it that's bothering us, what is it that we can do about it in this time. And then it helps to relieve our blood pressure. Do you know those feelings when you're all spun up and angry and stressed about something? And if you start taking deep breaths, you feel your body calm down. You feel the thoughts kind of settle in your mind. And those things are really helpful for us, not just in lowering our blood pressure, but also in giving us stronger respiratory function, stronger immune systems, and then release that de-stressing hormones throughout our body. That then helps us with this emotional benefits of these de-stressors, which is to give us a more mental focus, to give us a decrease in addictive behaviors, which I think is, I can tell when I'm stressing that I'm always like picking at my fingernails or like doing some of these like damaging, stressful activities that I know it's not good for me to do that. But when I know that I can calm down and do some of this breath work, take some deep breaths, that I have a better outlook at what is ahead of me. So if you take a look at, if you have 5 minutes, this inhale, exhale function, I think there's the Calm app has a feature like this too, if like a 1-minute activity, or your Apple Watch, if that is a feature that you use, has these activities. So do you see that like expand and contract circle of the inhale and exhale feature? I would ask you if you want to try one of these features with me now, either this inhale, exhale, or this box breathing. Are you familiar with box breathing, where you'll inhale for 3 counts, hold it for 3 counts, exhale for 3 counts, and then inhale for 3 counts? So that box feature, if you think about what an inhale, a hold, an exhale, a hold looks like. So I will ask you, because these are easy things to do while you're sitting at your desk and joining in on a de-stressor activity. You're breathing anyway, as we said, so you might as well find a way to use that breath work effectively for you. So I will ask you to choose one of those, either this inhale, exhale activity or this box breathing activity. And let's just do this together for a minute. Does that sound okay to do? And it won't be weird because we're all doing it. So you're not the only one do it. So let's just take a minute and do either the inhale, exhale, where you're only focusing on your inhales and your exhales, or do this box breathing. And let's just do this for 1 minute and I'll just time us. Are you ready? Okay. Okay. What did 1 minute of breath work do for you? Was my mom right? Did it help you calm down? Did it help you focus on what is in front of you instead of the thoughts that are swirling around you? Does anyone want to share? What was that like for them?
It was grounding. I just came back from a meeting for finals and realized how much work that I have to do this next week and a half. And so my mind has been frazzled, and just sitting and breathing for a minute has quieted my mind. So I feel a lot
Yeah.
better.
Good. Thank you for that. I am always surprised at what 1 minute can do for you, right? I think even in those stressful times where we all have those lists, Jamari, and looking at like, oh, I have so much that I need to get done. Can you take 60 seconds? Yeah. Or 300 seconds in this case, if you want to do a 5 minute activity. Yeah. You can take 5 minutes to do those things. And maybe that is like while you're reading over the list, maybe you can do that work, but just to take some time out of your day to do this. You'll see that I recommended if you have 1 hour to take a yoga class, maybe a yoga session is something that works well for you. I was going to share, I lost my link, but I was going to share a link to Yoga with Adrian. If you are on YouTube, Yoga with Adrian does free yoga sessions for all lengths of time and to depending on what you want to focus on. If it's like you want a sweaty leg workout, yoga session, or if you want to do 30 minutes of breath work, or if you want to do um, I don't know, maybe a 30-minute sun salutation. She's got lots of lengths of time spend those yoga sessions and different focuses for those as well. Jamari, already a fan of Yoga with Adrian, so that's great. I'm mostly a fan of yoga of Adrian's dog, but I love that there's lots of different options here. Juan, I'm calling you into the space as someone who's a dedicated yogi who spends a lot of time with yoga and thinking about what that does for you going into a class. Maybe you have like a bajillion thoughts on your head and things that you're thinking about, or you don't want to go to this class. And then maybe you have different feelings when you're walking out of the class. Can I invite you into this space to talk about that a little bit, Juan?
Happily. So the experience of the before and after is true for me. And
Mhm.
it's usually because, especially in hot yoga or a faster vinyasa flow, I have no capacity to think about anything else except what's happening right now. So if I can't
Mhm.
will myself to be in the present moment, my sweaty body in a yoga class will force me to be in the present moment through figuring out
Exactly.
postures and figuring out breath. And my breath starts to do what I would like it to do outside of yoga class, but inside of yoga class, it also has no choice but to keep pace in a way that can regulate me without having to try. Because if you're huffing and puffing, it's going to do some things to you. And
Right.
your brain seems to like oxygen. I'm learning this. It feels
It's
pretty
shocking,
good.
right? It
Yeah.
does feel pretty good.
Yes. So it is
Well,
an
thank you for that
experience.
one.
Yep.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you for that. Any questions about breath work before we go on to our second category? Okay. Well, let's talk about here's my second category, which is around taking breaks. We know that taking breaks from the busyness of our days and nights, it's critical to our mental well-being. And just like Jamari was saying, that's hard to do whenever you've just come back from a meeting and have your list of things that you have to do and maybe not a lot of time to do it. It's hard to think like, I need to take a break, but you do need to take a break. You do need to take those moments of getting away from that work, whether you have 5 minutes, whether you have 30 minutes, or whether you have an hour to do that. So we can talk about some of those recommendations. I thought I would share too that I once attended a workshop on resilience from Dr. Emmett Zood at the Mayo Clinic um, in Minnesota. And I was saying to him that sometimes I feel like I take a break in a moment of frustration of like, oh, I'm not saving lives. I just need to take away to break from this work. And this work isn't so critical that I can't walk away from it for a couple of minutes. And Dr. Zood says to me, did you know that even surgeons take breaks? So even people who are saving lives, who are doing this critical work, that they're standing up for a 6-hour surgery, that they also take a break. They also walk away from their work to call a loved one or to look at a picture of a beautiful place that they love or to go outside and take a breath and look at something different than the hard work that they're doing of saving someone's life. So I find that really refreshing to know that even people that are saving lives take breaks because we need that work to regain our focus so that we can come back to the work more focused. And yes, Juan, I agree. It is a relief to hear that I want someone who is like close their eyes and looked at something different rather than staring into this hard work that they're doing. Like, you got to give your brain these little breaks to be able to do that. So I thought I would offer, I don't know if you know this activity of naming something related to the five senses when you're stressed out. Have you heard of this activity of name one thing you can see, one thing you can hear, one thing you can feel, one thing you can taste, and one thing you can, oh wait, what's the fifth sense? I missed one. Taste, touch, smell, see, and hear. Did I get all of them? I think I did. Okay. So that could be a really calming activity in moments of stress. Again, just to kind of help your thoughts calm down, to take your attention away from this great big thing that you're focusing on that has had all your attention for hours and hours, perhaps. Or maybe if you're reading a textbook for so long and you're like, these thoughts are not making sense to me anymore, and you just need your brain to take a break from that thing, then this activity of the five senses can be a good one, just to center yourself in the place that you're in and to notice something else around you other than this text that you're working on or this meeting that is so stressful or whatever it is that is bringing a lot of stress into your life. Has anyone done that activity before? Is that a common one for you? Yeah, Jamari is saying yes. Juan is saying yes. Yeah. Another one that you can do is a nature walk. And this is something that I really love to do. And I will very purposely not bring a phone. I will not bring AirPods. I will bring one of 3 dogs and perhaps a partner with me. We have a lot of dogs in our house, friends. But I think that joy of just being outside and to maybe see how the dogs are taking in that space and noticing the Truman, one of our dogs, always has to smell this one particular plant when we round the corner on our walk. He always wants to smell this one plant. And I love watching him approach that plant and knowing that he has this excitement of the smells of that plant and the things that he wants to check out. And also he likes to relieve himself on that plant. But I think that it's just that reminder of a familiar outdoor space to him. Oh, I see, Kamdi, your question around the breath work of 1 minute. How long do you inhale and exhale? If I can go back to that slide, that if you see how that bubble kind of inhales and exhales, I like to just follow my inhales and exhales with that bubble. And so it's not like a very long deep breath and a very long exhalation. There's not a hold in the middle of that inhale and exhale. It's just something to focus on, to follow your inhale and your exhale. So is that what you're asking about, how like to count for your inhales and exhales? Was that your question?
Yeah, that was it. I get it now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I don't count when I'm doing that inhale, exhale. I just kind of follow the pattern of that bubble expanding and contracting, if that helps you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. So yes, a nature walk. So maybe it's even on your walk across campus to get to your next class, that instead of thinking about like, I got to make sure I turn that paper in, I got to make sure that I connect with my lab partner on this task that we're completing, and I got to call my parent afterwards, and I need to check in with the financial aid office, and I need to, like, instead of that list, clear that list out of your brain and pay attention to what's around you. All these trees are starting to be in bloom, and there's a nice breeze kind of flowing through those trees, and grass is popping up around you. Pay attention to what Mother Nature is giving you as far as the scenic view goes on your walk to class. Or I always like to try to park a little bit further than I normally would, just so I have a little bit longer to walk into Target, which is basically my number one spot that I go to almost every day. Right, like, just enjoy what is around you a little bit more. Just enjoy the scenery a little bit more and let your brain take its attention off of all that is stressing you and all that is focusing its attention on you. If you have an hour, I recommend that you spend some time in your flow state activity. Do you know what flow state is? Is this a familiar concept to you? So flow state is kind of like hobbies, basically. It's those things where you kind of lose yourself in this task and give yourself an hour to do it. Maybe it's editing photos, maybe it's putting a playlist together, maybe it's, for me, it's baking. So I like to have something that I produce at the end of that hour that I can share with someone. Maybe it's, I mean, I guess it could be scrolling TikTok, but set a timer for yourself to do that, or else 8 hours could go by and you've accomplished nothing. But maybe it is looking at cat videos or something that helps you take your brain again to a different space and allow it to decompress in those ways. Does anyone know or want to share what their flow state activity is? Or
For
what that can
mine,
be like for you? Yeah, go ahead, Carolyn.
mine is definitely any sort of like brain teaser, like crossword puzzle or like a word search. I could do
Yes.
those books for hours. Or Sudoku, like I love those.
Yes, I love that too. The New York Times Strands, are you playing that
Yes,
game?
I love
I'm
straight.
obsessed
Play
with
it every
it.
morning.
I love Strands. Connections, Wordle. Do you know Contexto? Are you a fan of the Contexto game?
I don't know
Maybe that's
Contexto.
new to you. Oh, put a
Is that a
link in the chat for you here. Anyone else? What other activities do you do?
I
What's
think
your flow state?
my one activity I do in my flow state will be drawing, because like when I draw, I love to write a poem about my drawing. So it's like a deep drawing.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
so nice. I like that. That's good.
I like the fact that you put an hour, so we don't, because we kind of are in sync with our flow state, so we don't do it too much. Like you said, 8 hours could go by and we all know. And like, how did we spend our time? That was
Sometimes
really
you have
helpful.
to set a timer for these things. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. Good, thank you. There's the link to Contexto if you want to try that. You're really just trying to guess a word, and it tells you how close you are to the right word with each guess. And that gives you some context around what the word might be. So if you're into word games and puzzles, maybe that's something that you want to try out. Okay. Well, let's move on to our third category here, which is buddies. So the social support that we have from our friend network, from the people in our community, from the group that means the most to us perhaps in this world, those best friends that we're beyond the mask of our composure with, those people that we can show up as our truest self with them, and they know us best and can connect with them in ways that we don't feel like we have to put on something, or we don't have to prepare something for them. We can just show up as who we are with those people. I was reading a study from 2022, just from 2 years ago, that social support bolsters resilience in stressful situations. It said that these studies show that loneliness has been associated with a wide variety of health problems, including high blood pressure, diminished immunity, cardiovascular disease, and cognitive decline. So our friends, our social support truly do something really valuable for us. So maybe take a minute to show those people what they mean to you and how much you appreciate them. Those gratitude exercises can really do a lot for our stress and for our focus and refreshing what's important to us. So if you have 5 minutes, maybe just send a text to one of those friends. Maybe it's a show of gratitude for what they mean to you, or maybe it's texting them to set up some time to meet up with them later, maybe for one of these 30-minute or 1 hour activities that we have here. If you're getting together with a friend to do some reflection, maybe you're looking at pictures from a trip that you had together, or maybe you're just reflecting back on pictures from the spring semester or from your college experience that you've had together, or from an organization that you're a part of together, or just sharing something about yourself with those folks, maybe before they knew you. That telling something about yourself builds social support, it builds community with people. If you have an hour, I recommend a phones-free mealtime with friends. I think there's something to be said for being able to share a meal with someone and look them in the eye and have a conversation, rather than looking at the top of their head as they look at the phone. You want to have their attention, and you want to be able to share attention with that person. So in thinking about what our social support does to us, I'm sorry if you can hear puppies in the background. But I thought I would share this quote with you all from Bessel van der Kolk about what social support does for us. So I'll pause for a minute when you read that quote. And I love that part about for our physiology to calm down and heal and grow, we need a visceral feeling of safety. We need to be with people who we know trust us and love us and care for us and keep us in their hearts and minds. And that social support is really helpful and critical to de-stressing and to refreshing. Does anyone want to share a reflection from that or a thought as you think about your social support and the value of it?
I feel social support is encouraging. Like you just have those people who just support you, they just help you to keep going, to keep on going.
Yeah, it's nice to have that support from friends and to be able maybe to share with them, like, I'm really struggling right now. Can you help me out? Because we know when a friend comes to us with information like that or with a request like that, we want to help them out in those times, and they want to do that for us as well. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Excuse me. Well, those are our final thoughts for today as we're thinking about how we can de-stress and how we can refresh and how we can manage our stress a little bit better. Time. Thoughts? Was this helpful for folks? Anything that you'd like to share as we're wrapping up our time together today?
I could share something. You could go. I've been talking all the time.
I was just going to ask if the slides for the presentation will be shared after the workshop.
Yes, so we recorded this session and we'll post that to our YouTube and make sure that.
Thank you.
This was a really amazing workshop. One thing I learned was about the breathing work. I haven't given breathing that much of a thought. Like, oh, we breathe every day, but I haven't like created time to take a deep breath. That's why I had so much questions. And do we time ourselves or do we just breathe in and out? And when I did that, I kind of felt at ease and it was calming, you know? I just felt more at peace at that time that took a little time away from everything just like showing at you.
Yeah. Good. That's so good to hear that. Breath work is so powerful and you're doing it anyway. So you might find great ways for it to work for you. So I hope you can keep doing that breath work, maybe just a minute at a time, just focusing on those inhales and exhales. And I hope that's helpful. So thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. And I'll stick around if anyone has questions, but otherwise enjoy the rest of your Tuesday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.